we're back. I approve this message, whatever that means. So, it's back with my guest, Brian Kunze, on, when he was in the Army. He was a JAG officer, and we're hearing some of his court stories, which I always find amusing, especially, I sat in a jury of one time with a guy that kicked an MP's dog, and he wound up going to Leavenworth, but my stories are nowhere. That was, no sooner we went to the back room, we were already coming back out. He was guilty, and so, any other good ones you have?
Well, some of it, to me, it's. I think a lot of people have misconceptions of what the military justice system is all about. I personally, I think it's really one of the best systems I've ever worked in. But just kind of, I think some of the military people would really appreciate is just the difference between military courts and civilian courts.
Oh yeah.
I had to do a trial up in Chicago, and the recruiting command was out of Fort Sheridan, which is just north of Chicago, right on Lake Michigan. A beautiful, beautiful facility there. It's one of the bases that got closed, and now I think they've parceled it off $1 million homes. But
now it's a resort.
Yeah, the recruiting command was up there, and they had one defense attorney up there. So anytime they had multiple recruiters get into trouble, they would have to bring me up as on a conflict type of basis.
Really, does this happen a lot? You get put on special assignment?
Yeah. I did probably, I guess maybe 4 or 5 trials up in Chicago.
Really?
The one trial I did, had to go to Chicago for this trial, was literally my first child was due in 2 weeks. And right before I'm leaving for Chicago, we have like our last kind of visit, with the doctor, and he's telling my wife, well, you're starting to contract, or you're starting to, looks like you're having contractions, you're starting to dilate, so really the baby could come any time. And of course, now I'm sitting here thinking, oh great, I have to go to Chicago, which is about 2.5 hours from Indianapolis. My wife is possibly going into labor at any time. And it was a kind of a unique trial because where I was stationed, my command was actually out of Fort Knox. Okay. And so the military judge we had in this trial had actually been my supervisor when he was at Fort Knox. And the trial attorney that was there had also been there. So all three of us had worked, or the two of us had worked under our military judge, so we all three knew each other very, very well. Probably one of the most fun trials I've ever done. As we're doing this trial, of course, literally every time I'm on break, I am calling my wife to find out if anything's happening. And we literally we started the trial on a Friday morning at 8 o'clock, and we figured it was only going to be a one-day trial. And we started that trial, and we finished the trial portion itself probably about 8 o'clock that night. So the jury then started deliberating, and they deliberated for a while. They came back and found the soldier guilty, which in the military you instantly go right into the sentencing phase. Right. And I think what a lot of people don't know about the military system is that the jury actually does the sentence for the military, and in a court martial. It's not the judge that does the sentencing like you see in civilian courts. It's actually the jury that does that. So then we go through all of the sentencing procedures and everything else, and we present our evidence as to why he should get less punishment, and the government presents their case as to why they should slam him. So we go through all of that, and we end going to the jury. Well, now they're deliberating. They must have deliberated like 4 hours on sentencing, and so they came back from sentencing, and this was kind of a lesser type of case. It was a pure military type of almost dereliction of duty type of offense.
All right.
And the guy was a fairly well decorated soldier, been there a while, and so the amazing thing is the jury found him guilty but gave him zero punishment. I mean, zero punishment. But the interesting aspect about it is that we started that trial at 8 o'clock Saturday morning, and we completed that trial at 8 o'clock. Or Friday morning, we completed the trial at 8 o'clock Saturday morning. We literally were in trial for 24 hours. And trust me, that would never, ever happen in the civilian world.
No, they
you know,
deliberate and send everybody to hotel rooms.
Yeah, you learn very quickly that you are a soldier 24 hours a day, and, you know, we were there to do a job. And, you know, we did it.
You don't leave till it's done.
Yeah, and everybody wanted to get it over with, and we did it.
We were always taught, yeah.
You know, then unfortunately I was in the car as quick as possible to get back to Indianapolis. And the amusing thing of the whole story was that not only was my child not born within the next 2 weeks, she was actually induced 2 weeks late. So what seemed like it was going to be a crisis for me, she wasn't actually born for another month. So
lived up to the military term, hurry up and wait,
yeah,
right?
Hurry up and wait.
We still do that, don't we?
Yeah.
But I can remember anybody who has kids and gone through stuff like that, especially on active duty, you know, getting ready to deploy, and my wife was ready to have her baby when I was getting ready to deploy overseas. It's just, you know, walk her around, and luckily our doctor was Dr. Joe O'Donnell was his name, up in Fallbrook, California. He was a retired Navy captain, equivalent to a colonel. That's all he did was deliver babies. And finally, he just says, bring her in. We're going to just induce them. And he was born on Father's Day, my son. So
that's a nice touch.
Yeah, a couple of weeks later, out I go, you know, but hurry up and wait. And Dr. Joe just said, nah, we're done playing. I was walking up and down the block so many times she was getting blisters. It's like, hey, enough is enough. Bring her in. We're done. So you got called to a lot of these other places. Did you specialize in any particular MOS of the law that you kept getting recommended?
No, it's just a lot of it was just the assignments of that area. And like I said, the only reason I got called away would be like with the recruiting issues. But I had to go up to Detroit to do a case up there again with a recruiter.
Yeah, it makes me think that
but pretty much I was pretty much just there at Fort Benjamin Harrison.
And this. Any other neat ones you have? Or?
You know, it's just you know, you think back, oh my gosh, can't believe it was actually you know, that long ago. But you know, to me,